Well, hello everybody and welcome to the rebroadcast of Ask an Author. We've been getting so many requests from aspiring authors to answer questions from an established author. So today we are jumping on and we are going to be answering your questions from established authors asked by aspiring authors. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I see some of our authors are jumping in right now. Thank you, ladies. If you would like to come on air with me, go ahead and let me know. And we will pull you on. We'll answer some questions. If you want, you can also answer questions in the comments and I will read those out to our aspiring authors. If you are here joining us, feel free to leave some questions in the comments below. And if you're joining our rebroadcast, hey and welcome. Go ahead and DM me with your questions and we will get those scheduled for the next time we do Ask an Author. Now, we did have people write in and we are going to be doing priority to the people who sent us questions in advance. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to get some of those answered. I see that we have author Amber R. Duell here. We have author Alicia Gale here as well. And we are going to be answering your questions today. So feel free to let us know what is the most burning on your list. Ask your questions. And I know that a number of you did write in. I do have those here. We're going to jump in and get some of those answered. So let's go ahead and let's bring on author Amber R. Duell, if I can get it so that I can request her to join. All right, we're going to add. Come on. I hope that's what that meant. We are going to be answering really great questions today. Hey, girl. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to see you, and I can hear you, which is amazing because sometimes we have trouble with that.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to answer some questions. First, tell everybody who you are and how they can reach out to you.
I'm Amber R. Duell. I wrote Fragile Chaos, and it's novella The Last Goodbye, and Dreamkeeper is coming out in February of next year.
That's so exciting. And they can reach you at your website and then your social media.
Yes. AmberRDuell.com, and then Twitter is at AmberR_Duell with 2 L's, like unguard with 2 L's. And Facebook is Amber R. Duell Author and Amber R. Duell on Instagram.
Yes, and here in the comments, you can go ahead and click on her name if you would like to go over to her profile and follow her. Also, feel free to DM any of the authors today if you have questions specific to them. But we are taking your authors right now, so if you are here, go ahead and leave us a little bit of comment love. Let us know your name, let us know where you're from, and go ahead and ask your questions. Now, one of the questions that I got earlier, Amber, was what do you do to get over writer's block? And that was sent in by Gabby. So what do you do to get over your writer's block?
I just keep writing. It's going to be horrible, and you're going to have to fix it later, but, you know, you just get over that, or, you know, you could just skip that part and maybe write something that's more interesting at the moment. Like if you're not into, you know, writing a fight scene, go ahead and go to the next chapter.
There you go, and come back to what you don't necessarily love as much. As for me, I think with writer's block, I have kind of two different answers to that. And my second answer is very much in alignment with what Amber said. But my first answer would be back in the day when I wasn't doing this necessarily as professionally as I'm doing it now. My writer's block tip was to work on more than one project at once. So if I had 2 stories going, if I hit a wall with one, I was able to then bounce over to the other story and work on that until I figured out the problem with the first one, and I could just bounce back and forth between them. Now, beyond that, if I still couldn't kind of figure out where I was going with a book, I would say, and my suggestion to you is to do some other creative endeavor. So it doesn't have to be writing. It could be photography. It could be pottery. You could make some kind of art and craft. You could make something outside. You could build something. The key here is to have your mind engaged and to make sure that you, hi Susie, thanks for joining. The key is to have your mind engaged and make sure that you are actively doing something to be creative, and that will jog your mind into what you need to do for your book. Now, my second answer to that is definitely just to keep going. Now, as a professional that I am knocking out a book in 2 weeks or whatever it is that I'm doing because I'm crazy and insane, I just have to keep going no matter what. Just keep writing. Do not stop and do not give myself permission to kind of hang back and not necessarily write. So as long as I'm pushing myself, I am finding that that is working for me. All right, so our next question is going to be, any tips on getting through the first draft? I've been working on mine for a year and I always end up restarting or just not feeling content with it. And that was from Tacey. So Amber, what do we have?
My first drafts are like glorified outlines. They're like, you know, 20 to 40,000 words, but they always double during edits. I say, even if it's not right, just keep going. Do not go backwards. Don't start over. Just finish it and fix it later.
Yeah, that's very good advice. Just keep going. I feel for me, that, and I was thinking about this earlier because I had these questions in advance. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining. We're doing Ask an Author. If you are an aspiring author, if you are someone who is a writer, go ahead and give us your best questions. We are here hanging out with Amber, our Duell, and some other fabulous authors who are going to be hanging out with us, possibly on air, but definitely in the comments. So ask away with your questions. As far as that first rough draft, sometimes you just got to do it. But if you're really not feeling it at this point, if you kind of find yourself going back to it again and again and again, and you're just not happy with it, it might not be the right time for that particular manuscript. I know with me, for my first book, Golden, when I first started writing, I knew I wanted to write this book. I knew that I wanted to write it. But I couldn't figure everything out. I didn't really know her story. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to be doing with it. And so that was something I had to put on the back burner. It wasn't the right time for me to write that story. That was actually the third book that I wrote. But I knew before I wrote anything else, that was one that I wanted to write. And so if you are struggling with your manuscript, if you're not sure with it, if you keep rewriting, if you're just not happy with it, maybe try another project and come back to this one after. It might just not be the right time. Don't shelve it completely, but give a little break to yourself and make sure that you are working on something else and then come back to it, because you might just find that it works to your benefit. Hi, Bonnie. Thanks so much for joining. We're so glad to see you. We're doing Ask an Author. So if you are a writer, if you're an aspiring author, go ahead and ask some questions. Next question is going to be from Gabby. Do you think that listening to music helps you write or no?
That could be different for everyone. For me, it does. It gets me in the mood. But, some people will be distracted. So I guess it depends.
For me, I get distracted. So I don't do well with music, especially if there's lyrics to it, because I find myself singing along. It's a problem. Now, I will say that on occasion, I do have to have some kind of noise to drown out the world around me. So I will put on like instrumental music. I love listening to Lindsay Sterling. She's great for music. But there are a couple of songs where I have it so embedded in my head, like the soundtrack to The Greatest Showman is my recent jam. I have it so ingrained in myself that I can just put it on and it kind of acts as white noise for me, and I'm not necessarily singing along, and I get really, really far with my writing. So you put those on and it kind of works. So for the most part, I don't listen to music. When I do, it's kind of acting like white noise for me. Bonnie, thank you for the hearts. We do appreciate you being here. We are hanging out, asking questions to authors, and I know we've got some authors hanging out with us. If you want to leave some comments, if you want to answer some questions with us, feel free, let us know, and we will get some questions answered. If you want to come on with me, go ahead and let me know, because we will bring you on as well. All right, next question is going to be, how long did it take you to write your first book? So Amber, how long did it take you to write your first book? I know, that's one of those ones that you have to really think about.
That was 2006. Oh my gosh. Probably about a year, I think. For my first book, I bribed myself. Every 5,000 words, I bought myself a season of anime. So that was a long time going and a lot of money. But
yeah, that would add up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but yay for eBay.
And it's a good reward, too. I really like the idea of rewarding yourself when you reach certain levels of doing things, whether it's your word count or how many chapters or whether you finished a book, whatever it is, you should be rewarding yourself for being awesome and succeeding and reaching your goals. For me, I actually had to look this up because I didn't know. She had sent me this question a few days ago, and so earlier today I jumped on and looked at my very first manuscript, which, no, you probably won't ever end up reading, which is sad because I love that story. And it looks like this was a really long time ago. I don't even remember when I wrote it. I think it was like 2015-ish, I think it said. And it looked like it was about 2 months, but I don't know for sure. It was fairly quick, but I also wasn't putting a ton of effort into it because when I was writing, it was late at night for like an hour at like 11 p.m. because I was like secretive and hiding it. And so I didn't put a ton of time and effort into it, but I also did put a little bit of time and effort into it. So about 2 months for my first manuscript. And again, you're probably never going to see it because it was fast paced, baby. Hi, Freedom. Thanks so much for joining. We are doing Ask an Author. So if you have questions or if you are an author and you would like to answer questions, go ahead and drop some comment love below. We're hanging out answering questions that have been sent in, but also questions that are coming in today. And if you are an author who does want to answer, feel free to drop your answers in the comments below or let me know and we can bring you on screen to answer a couple of these as well. And also thank you for the hearts because that helps to promote this broadcast to other people. All right, my next question on my list over here that I have to look around my phone for. What advice do you have for aspiring authors, Amber?
oh, your first draft is just going to suck. So just get through it, fix it later. That is my advice.
Yeah, that is a fun one. First drafts, fun baby. As far as I am concerned, and I say this a lot, first off, you guys know that I teach over at Reading Transforms. I educate authors on social media marketing. So we talk all about how to handle your Instagram and your Facebook and your YouTube and your Twitter, your newsletters, your blogs, your whatever. And we talk about things that we need to be aware of in the writing industry. And a lot of what I talk about is legal stuff. Now, I am not a lawyer. Please don't listen to me as a lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice. That is just not happening. Oh my goodness, my phone jumped on me. I don't know what's happening. All of a sudden, my comment thing popped up. Anyway, I'm not giving you legal advice. What I am saying is hire a lawyer. Get a professional publishing lawyer to look over any contracts that you may eventually sign. An agent is not enough. Agents are great. They are aware of contract things. I'm aware of contract things, but I'm also not skilled enough to give you legal advice on that. So please make sure you're working with a professional publishing lawyer before you sign anything. You do not have to take your first deal. You absolutely do not have to take your first deal. You got to make sure that what you are doing is right for you and your brand and your manuscript, and you should be protecting that. I did not take the first a lot of book deals that I was offered. I didn't take them because they were not the right fit. They were good as far as advances. I was offered advances. I was offered all sorts of things, but it was not the right fit. And in some cases, that turned out to be a really, really good thing. And thank goodness I listened to my publishing lawyer. But you don't have to jump at the first thing. Make sure you find the right fit and you really trust the people and you know who you're getting into business with, because you're going to be in it for the long haul. Most book contracts are 5 years. Unless you do a little bit of wheeling and dealing and negotiating, you're going to be with these people for 5 years and they are in control of your book. So make sure it's the right fit, but also realize you don't necessarily have to work the traditional way. You can do things a little bit differently that fits you. So whether you are traditional, you are indie, you are hybrid, you got to make sure it's the right fit for you and you do your research before you get into it. Freedom says, great advice. Yes, it is great advice. We're giving lots of good advice over here today. I'm super excited. I'm going to see if I can get my, there we go. I got my comment box down. I was literally squished up at the top of my screen here because my keyboard popped up and I don't know why, because I didn't touch my phone. Next question. Next question is going to be, I moved my list, so I got to check it. What inspired you to become a writer? And that's from Gabby.
I don't think any one thing. I just always had stories in my head that I wrote down, and I was secretive too. So finally, I got the courage to show one person. They were like, this doesn't suck. So then I went with it.
That's so funny. See, I had originally not intended on being an author. It was not something I was going to do at all. I worked with authors. I trained authors. I supported authors. I loved books. I grew up as a librarian's daughter, so I was all about books, but I had no intention of writing a book myself. And so I had read a series, and I had finished the series, and I had a book hangover, and I could not find another book to fill that void. And I also, back in the day, I was not that good at searching Amazon. I didn't really know how the book world worked on Amazon. So I was not good at finding recommendations for myself. And so I figured if I can't find it, I'm going to write it. And so that's when I snuck off and I would write my hour long every night, 11 p.m., whatever, in the dark, on my desk, sitting on my bed. And I knocked out my first book to fill that void. And then I did nothing with it. And I wrote another book. And then eventually I wrote Golden. And then I wrote Jaded. And then I wrote some other books. And eventually one of my friends found out because she had been writing as well. And she insisted that I try to publish. And so I shopped it around a little bit. I did the whole talking about the offer thing. I eventually ended up walking away from it because I didn't find the right fit for myself. And then over a year later, I did find the right fit, and here we are. So my inspiration for becoming an author was definitely not having the book that I wanted to read, so I wanted to create it for myself. Bonnie says, wow, yes, that is quite the story, right? When starting a new series, where do you start? Characters, scenes, what is the first thing you go for?
That's different for me for every book. With Fragile Chaos, it was kind of a general idea. With Dreamkeeper, it was the Sandman. So I think it changes with story to story, but in general, usually it's more characters for me because they make the story. But
Yeah. For me, I think it's that general topic. I kind of figure out what I'm going to be writing about. I do a lot of retellings, so a lot of it is which story am I going to tell and how am I going to twist it. And then I figure out kind of what's going to happen. So I guess I'm more scenes than characters, which I just realized. But I kind of figure out what I'm going to be doing, what's going to happen, and then I develop my characters almost immediately after that, and we just see what happens from there. Hey, listen, if you are just joining us, thanks so much for jumping in. Go ahead and leave your comments. We are doing Ask an Author. So if you are a writer, you're an aspiring author, go ahead and leave us your most burning questions. We're going to get those answered today. A number of people did send in their questions in advance, so they're getting priority right now. But if you have questions, if you have comments, and if you are an author who wants to answer, hit up those comments below. And again, if you are an author and who wants to answer, I will happily read that out for you, or you're welcome to come on live with us. All right, jumping into our next question. What is your editing process like?
Ooh, a hot mess. Like I said, my first drafts are really super short, so there's a lot to fill in. So I usually go back and where it's like insert whatever scene here, I go back and I do all those first. And then I have like a list of all the things like, oh, well, this has to go back and change chapter 2. So I go back and do all those. And then I go through the whole thing about 5 times. It's so bad. About 5 times. Like I kind of do it in layers, like this. So, yeah.
That's a good way of doing it. I kind of like doing things in layers. Kind of keeps everything on track and gives you a little bit of freedom to have that wiggle room to work with things. Yeah. For me, I have a very interesting setup with the way I do things. My computer screen as I'm writing, I'm kind of like going off a little sidetrack here. My computer screen as I'm writing, I have my main document in front of me, and then and I don't know which way it's going to work for you guys. On my left-hand side, I'm hoping that's whatever, it's the way it looks on my computer. On my left-hand side, I have a running list that is a timeline of what's happening. So I have the chapter, what page the chapter's on, and then bullet points of everything that happens. Then over on the other side, I have a running list of characters where I put character descriptions, hair color, eye color, things that they say, things that they do, stuff about their family history or their past. And I have all 3 of those things on my screen. And then I also, if I need to, I'll have another document tucked away down at the bottom or something if I'm keeping running notes for something else or whatever. Recently, I've developed the use of a calendar. So I will print out 2 calendars and I will set them in front of me. One is nice and clean so I can keep track of my days and what happens on those days. That works with my timeline on my screen. And the other one is messy where I can scratch things out and write ideas and mess stuff up. So that's a lot of documents open for me at that point. And at that point, I tend to be very, very strategic about what I write. So I don't necessarily have this huge editing process because I have everything very, very tight before I move on with it. And it all fits very tightly into my book. Now, a lot of you know I wrote a book in 9.5 days at the beginning of January. For that, I literally ran a spell check, sent it to a couple of beta readers, had to make some comments, tweak stuff, sent it off. And when the publishing company that took the book sent it to their person, there was literally like 6 typos and that was it. So for my editing process is a little weird, but I kind of do it as I go, and because I do it so like tightly, I don't have to do an awful lot. It's mostly grammar stuff, and I will definitely, as I'm writing, go back and hearing from my beta readers and kind of tweak scenes. So don't think it's like perfect from the start, because I definitely changed things in that book as I was going, but I did it as I was going, so it saved me time in the overall editing later on. Bonnie has been told that she should write a book. Hey girl, you should. Go ahead, write your book, get it out there. We will happily support you. I want to hear what you have to write. I'm a big fan of everybody writing, so write your book. Write your book, and I would love to see your book. All right, next question. Do you base your characters off of people that you know?
No. Because then if I have to do something horrible to them, I feel so bad. And I don't want to be like associating them, with anybody. So I try not to at all.
Yeah, I don't base my characters off of people. I was going to say that wrong. Sometimes I base my people off of my characters, though. Like, if you match up to one of my characters, we're going to be buddies. But no, I definitely do not base people I did it again. I don't base my characters off of people I know, because maybe something not so good happens, or maybe somebody recognizes them, or maybe somebody gets mad because I wrote them into a book. So I work very, very hard not to put people that I know into my books, and not to put their traits into my book, because I know people read my stuff and I don't want them to come back at me and say, why did you do this? So I don't. I know some people do. I don't. Protect myself here. Where do you usually write?
I have a desk that is a mess right now because my husband just got home from deployment and there's stuff everywhere. So I'm not going to show you. But this apartment came with like a built-in desk thing, and it's awesome, and I love it. Or on the couch. Oh no, I can't hear you anymore.
Nice. I always like comfy writing spaces, but I don't get to use them. My computer, I'm hooked up to about 6 external hard drives. I've set up my computer and all of my external hard drives and all of my extra technology things. And I write in my little corner here. So it used to, when I just took it over, and that was that. But I have since moved and created my own space where I have a table, and it's just covered with my technology. So that's where I write. Jumping in, hey, and then we are doing Ask an Author. If you are an aspiring author, someone who writes, someone who's getting ready to maybe eventually jump into the publishing world, or you are a newer author, go ahead and put those in the comments. Definitely get those, or as many of those, answered as possible in the next few minutes as we are hanging out. We did have people write in, so we're going to jump back into some of those priority questions. All right. How do you find beta readers?
Most of mine I found on CP Match over on Twitter. And, you know, I've exchanged like first chapters with a bunch of people, but you want somebody that likes your story and gives you good notes, but you have to like their story and their writing too. So you go through a lot of, you know, first chapters to get the diamond in the rough, but that's where I found mine.
Fantastic. For me, my original beta readers started out as my friends. I take that. Yeah, no, they started out as my friends. I actually had some people who pit mad, but it was one of those pitching contests over on Twitter. They read my write-ups as I was pitching the publishers, and they're like, I actually want to read that. Could I maybe beta read for you, or can I read that? And so that's actually how I found some of my friends, because they came to me because they happened to see my little tweet about my book, and they're like, me. But now I've developed a really strong team of beta readers. They are fans of mine and friends of mine. They fans first, then became friends of mine. They are really great about checking me for all my facts, going over my grammar and my spelling, and they are very, very good, very reliable. And I love my group of people. So it's very important to find people that you know and trust, who like your work and who are going to give you helpful feedback. So they don't have to love it. It doesn't have to be their favorite thing in the world, but they have to give you helpful feedback without being snotty about it. So as long as you find somebody, and I do recommend having a couple of different people, but as long as you find a couple of people that kind of work with you and gel and mesh with you, that's where you're going to do really, really well. And like Amber said, there are actual resources out there for finding critique partners. So that is going to be incredibly helpful to you. Make sure you check those out. And if you need information about those, feel free to come to me and I will get you that info. Yes. All right, next question. Where do you
Wouldn't I like to know? They just hop in there. But I don't have an answer for that. I guess, well, with the dream, I told my 6-year-old if he didn't go to sleep, I was going to call the Sandman. And then, so he fell asleep, and then I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, I want to write a story with the Sandman. So that's where that came from. A parenthesis.
Fun to read the acknowledgments. Like, you're going to pull that out during his high school graduation. For me, my ideas come from, well, a lot of my ideas come from my artwork. So you guys know I'm a fine art photographer, and I spend a lot of time creating these gorgeous composite images that tell stories. And so I take a lot of that and I put it into my books. In fact, Jaded was actually inspired by a photo series that I did, and you can see them on the cover. So it's a 4-part photo series. The first 2 are on Jaded, the second 2 are on Risen, which comes out soonish. Just saying. but I get a lot of inspiration from by photography. I also get it from things like songs. I'll get it from movies. I can't even tell you how many times I've walked into a movie theater and seen a trailer for another movie, and there's one little detail in the corner or one setting that's like magical and so cool, and I make this mental note and I spin this tale out of it, even though it has nothing to do with that movie or that scene or that setting or that object. It kind of sparks something else. So anything creative tends to give me a lot of really good ideas. But I also do a lot of retellings, and I've always been a fan of the other side of the story, or the real story. So the real story of the Three Little Pigs when we were children, that book, loved that. That inspired me to figure out what's the real story behind Goldilocks. What's the real story behind Little Miss Muffet? What's the real story behind Sleeping Beauty? What's the real story behind the thing that I can't tell you about that comes out later this year from that one publisher? And so I love to find the real stories behind it, that twist to it. So how can I take a character, a story, and twist it so severely, but still keep it true to the original? I love that. And so that is big inspiration for me. Another question we have is, should I be promoting myself as an author before I have a book? Now, I've got a very specific answer to this. Amber, you can answer this too, but I definitely have a thing to say about this.
I think I'll let you take that one. My opinion would probably be no, just in case that you don't do anything with it. Well, I guess promote yourself as an author, but not that like specific book that you're writing.
As someone who is a marketer, as someone who is a brander, as someone who is in this industry and making these connections for people, I would say that no, you should not be promoting yourself if you don't have somewhere to send fans. So if you have a book deal and you know it's coming out, or if you are self-publishing and you know it's coming out, yes, promote, promote, promote. If you do not have a deal, if you do not have a specific date for this book to come out, if you do not have somewhere to send people to buy this, to pre-order this, or to get information on this, do not. Keep your mouth shut. Find someone who is going to either buy your book or help you to publish your book, and make sure that you are not necessarily falsely promoting yourself because you don't have something that's concrete to give to your fans. So it's awesome if you are writing, but you should not be promoting yourself as an author until you are going to be publishing and have a firm date for that, and spend your time instead building up your social media in terms of being a community leader within the book world, whether it's Instagram or BookTube or just giving really great book reviews on your blog. Promote yourself in that way, build up your fan base, but make sure that you keep that line clear so that, you know, when you're ready, people are going to be ready for that. Also, on that note, a lot of publishers will not take your book if you have been tossing it around left and right. So they want to be able to control the narrative when it comes to marketing. Make sure you give them that freedom and that power so that they can market to the best of their abilities, because if you've done it, if you've done things that don't really mesh with what they're doing, they may not take your book because you've splashed it around everywhere. So you got to be very, very careful and very, very smart and strategic about how you are promoting yourself. So yes, you can totally say you're a writer. Don't necessarily say, hey, I'm an author until it's time, because people are going to stop believing you. All right, next one. How do you stay disciplined to write your books?
It's been a really long time since I've been not disciplined, so I don't remember how I started it, but just, you know, making sure if you really want to do it seriously, you have to make the time for it. You can't, you know, be like, oh, I feel like doing it today. Like, you know, treat it, if you want it to be your job, treat it like you're, you know, it's your job. So make sure you set the time for it.
And that's exactly what I was going to say too. You have to treat it like a job. If you are just kind of writing when you feel like it, or when the spirit moves you, when you have time, if you're not busy with other stuff, it's a hobby. It's not a job. And if you want it to be your job, if you want to make income from it, if you want to make it in the publishing world and have a name and have a brand and have books out there, you have to have the discipline to do it. You got to take the time and effort and really make sure you are applying yourself. So set a specific time during the day, whether it's an hour, 7 hours, it doesn't matter, as long as you are strategically planning into your schedule and consistently doing it every single day. Now, that does not mean you have to, you know, write 24/7. It doesn't have to be 7 days a week. It doesn't have to be for 7 hours. You just have to make sure you have a schedule. So if it's 5 days a week for an hour a day, awesome. Make sure you do it. Don't let other things interfere. Don't let other things get in the way. Make that a priority, just like you would make taking care of your children a priority, or getting your schoolwork done a priority, or going to your job every day. You got to make sure that it's part of your daily life. And when you do, you're going to develop that discipline to get it knocked out and get it done and get it handled. And it's not going to be as stressful. All right, we are pretty much at our time. We have just a couple of questions, so we will go over just by a few minutes. And we will get these last couple questions knocked out for you. But if you have last minute questions, go ahead and hit us up below. Okay, let me see. Where did that one? Yep. Okay, here we go. How do you know who to trust in the industry? And we know that this is a huge thing because there's so many people out there, so many bad people, predatory people, but there's also some really good people. So Amber, how do you know who to trust? Well, wow, that was hard.
You're probably gonna have a way better answer, but I just kind of internet stalk them. Like if they're offering you something, check them out. There's predators and editors, I want to say, but I think maybe that was taken down. I don't know. Anyway, you can internet stalk them, see what people are saying. Absolute Right, I think, has a forum where people, will say, like, if there's bad experiences, good experiences. So that's my advice.
Yeah, Absolute Right is a great forum. They allow people to go on and post their experiences and talk about what's going on. So if a publisher is a little bit on the predatory side, if they are doing things they shouldn't be doing, people tend to come out and say those things. Now, I will say that I have seen publishers who have done some bad things in this industry, and bad things have happened, and people have talked about it on forums like Absolute Right, but not everybody does their research. And to this day, some of these companies are still taking on new authors for bad reasons. So you have to be very careful. I absolutely agree with internet stalking. You should be looking them up. You should be talking to people who work with them. So if you are working with a traditional publisher, talk to their other authors. Make sure that they are happy there and they're not just kind of towing the party line. Talk to your publishing lawyer. Your publishing lawyer will definitely have some ideas for you. They will not be able to give you specifics, but they will say, hey, this is a red flag. Maybe don't do that. Again, make sure you check the contracts. Make sure you do not sign anything until you have a publishing lawyer check it over. Most publishing lawyers are fantastic. They work on a sliding scale. So if you are not offered a big advance, they will do it for you for free. They will read it over for you. If you are offered a big advance, they will take a cut of it, but it's on a sliding scale. It's a small percentage, so you're fine. But do your research. Understand who you're working with. Make sure you're comfortable with them. Make sure the people that they're working with are comfortable with them. And if there's ever one of those, what is it? A DNA? No, that's not right. I don't know. A non-disclosure agreement. Oh, I was right. Yep, it's a non-disclosure agreement. If people have to sign that and they're not allowed to talk about that company, that is a bad company. Get out. So watch what you're doing. But that doesn't just mean publishers. That means marketing people. That means bookstagrammers. That means booktubers. That means people promoting your blog. That means your website designer. That means your cover designer. That means whoever it is that you're working with, even as far as people like cover designers or your editors or your professionals that you are working with for your book. These people need to be checked out first. Make sure you know who's working with them. Make sure they come highly recommended. And sometimes even people who come highly recommended aren't the greatest fit. So do your research and know who you are working with. And if you have questions, come ask me. Yeah, I'm great at internet stalking, and so is Amber. We're fantastic with this, and I will definitely help you out to make sure, no matter what professional you are attempting to work with. All right, final question for the day. Where do you find your fans?
Ooh, I don't know where they come from. I interact with them on social media. I'm not sure how they find me.
That is a big thing. I feel like for me, my biggest advice would be to be proactive about this and go and meet them on their level. So I make it a point to get on Bookstagram, to get on social media with people, whether or not they know me. If I find an account that I love, if I see their feed and it's just so perfect with them, not to get them to come to me, but because I want to support them. The chances are they're going to come hang out with me. They're going to meet me. They're going to see my feed. They may follow me. It's awesome. But I am very proactive within the community, and that is how a lot of people find me. I also make good connections. So my friends have fans. They bring them to me. I have fans, and my friends get my fans as well. So we're very supportive of each other. So creating a network of people to support each other is super helpful. I know Amber and I share a lot of fans because we're very supportive of each other. So make friends, okay? Be on social media, be present, be active, and then be a community leader. I do a lot within this industry to promote authors, to help authors, to work with authors, and to promote aspiring authors. And that is how people know me. A lot of people knew me through Reading Transforms before I was ever an author, and they followed me over. So be a community leader, whether it's Bookstagram, BookTube, your book blog, whatever you're doing, make the effort to get out there and help the community, and they will come to you that way. Also, people will randomly find you through contests. They'll find you through Amazon. They'll find you through your books. They'll find you randomly on Bookstagram when people are supporting you. So always good to get your face out there and do lots of fun things. So make friends. It's a great thing. All right, guys, if you have more questions, you are welcome to DM us. We will be doing this again soon-ish. I do not know when, because this was kind of a surprise thing for me. I did not necessarily know that we were all going to be jumping on doing all the fun stuff here, but it was something that has been asked again and again and again over the last 2 weeks, and so we wanted to jump on and get those questions answered. We do appreciate you being here and joining us for this. If you have questions, let us know. If you want more answers or if you want more details on what we said today, feel free to DM me. We will connect with you and we will get you as much information as possible because we want to help support you. You have an incredible book to write. We want to hear it. We are big fans of supporting everyone who is writing books because when you are writing books, you are supporting us and we are supporting you. We do not necessarily see other people's success as our failure. We see their success as our success. So if we are making the book industry a better place, that's good for everybody. So write your book, get your book out there, let us read your book, and then let's all support each other. Amber, one more time, let everybody know where they can find you.
Twitter at AmberR_Duell, Instagram at AmberRDuell, and Facebook at AmberRDuellAuthor.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, Amber. I do appreciate you being here. I cannot wait to do this again. You are fabulous.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. We are going to wrap this baby up. I do appreciate each and every one of you. I am K.m. Robinson, author of The Golden Trilogy, The Jaded Duology, The Legends Chronicles, and Virtually Sleeping Beauty, and about 13 other books that are coming out this year. Probably not even joking on that number. I would love to have you guys come hang out with me, k.m.robinsonbooks.com, where I've just opened up my world portals, so you can see behind the scenes from all of my books, all sorts of fun and fabulous things, photos, videos. There's going to be some audios. There's going to be some augmented reality stuff. Ooh, just gave you a secret. There's going to be some virtual reality stuff, not even joking there, and all sorts of amazing things over on my website. You can also hang out with amazing things over on my website. You can also hang out with me at k.m. Robinson Books on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, and come hang out with me on YouTube, where I do rebroadcasts of all of my lives and videos. We get a lot of things answered for you, and I would love to see you hanging out. K.m. Robinson on YouTube, and at k.m. Robinson Books on social media. Beyond that, you can come visit me at readingtransforms.com, where I'm educating authors on marketing, branding, social media marketing strategy, engaging and empowering and equipping their fans to get out there and market on their behalf. If you are someone who wants to grow your brand and get into this business, come hang out with me, readingtransforms.com. Thanks again for joining me. And again, if you have questions, DM me because we will be taking care of you in our next broadcast. You guys have a fantastic day and stay inspired. Bye-bye.